Hi, this is Simon Obstall and welcome to another tutorial for Blender. And today we're going to be taking a look at modeling this simple spaceship. Now, it's not a particularly challenging project, but I think it's a pretty fun way to give ourselves a workout for our subdivision modeling skills. And as you'll see, we can make quite a bit of complexity from just a few simple operations. So let's get into it. So here we are in the default Blender scene, and the first thing we're going to do is remove our old friend, the cube. He's not wanted here, so delete. And what we're going to do instead is we're going to add mesh and UV sphere. And everything we're going to be doing is going to be modeled from this one sphere. But first of all, we need to set him up. So I actually want to simplify this down to 24 segments and 12 rings. Let's first of all come to the front view and let's select our circle and zoom in on him. Alt-Z to activate the X-ray mode. Let's come to edit mode, and we're obviously in vertices mode, and we're going to select these vertices and delete them. We're going to select these vertices and delete them. Number 3 on the number pad to come to the right-hand view, select these vertices and delete them. So now we're just left with this very basic shape here. Let's come out of X-ray mode. So what I want to do is, first of all, I want to make a loop cut in this bottom row. So I'm going to select the loop cut tool and just make a loop cut right in the middle there. Then I'm going to select this vertex here, the one right at the bottom there, and I'm going to move it on Y. So G, Y, and -0.1. And just makes that little protruding hip there. Then I'm going to switch into edges mode. And I'm going to select this edge here and holding down the control key, select that edge. So I've got them all selected. And then I'm going to extrude them this way. So that's E and Y and 0.1. You see we now got that strip there. So A to select everything. And I just want to line everything back again. So G and Y and -0.1. And you can see we're lined back here on the 0 axis here. So just a very little thing I want to do here, and that's to affect this edge here. And first of all, I need to make another loop cut. So I'm going to grab the loop cut tool and I'm going to drag it like that, and probably not all the way, just slightly like that. And then zoom in a bit and select this edge here. And then I want to move it down on Z. So G, Z, -0.1. And again, we've created just that little sort of a bit of a hip there. So then A to select everything, and then I just want to move this off this center now. So G and X and -7. And let's put it all the way over there. And let's zoom in again. And what I want to do is I want to select this row here. So all the way around here. So holding down the Control key just to make sure I'm grabbing all of these. There we go. I've got all of those selected, and now I want to extrude them on X. So E and X and 7. And you'll see that now our center line is here, and that's going to be important when we come to mirror it. So first thing I want to do is create some sort of side panels. So let's just go hit Control Spacebar just to give ourselves a little bit more space. I'm going to come down to the loop cut tool, and here I'm going to click and make a loop cut, and I'm going to set the number of cuts to 15. So then I want to come into faces mode, and I just want to roll over just a little bit, just so we can see enough. So then I'm going to select, so 1, 2 of these, then I'm going to select this one here and that one there. So that's select and then Control to select the top one. And I'm going to count along a gap of 4, so till I come to here, so Shift, and then Control to select that one, count along 4, Shift, and Control to select that one. And then I'm going to extrude these, so E and 0.1. Then I'm going to come to the front view, just to line everything up. I'm going to switch back into X-ray mode. So that's Alt-Z is the shortcut for that. Let's switch into edges mode. I'm going to select all of these edges here, and I'm going to scale them on X. So SX 2.5. Do the same thing with the other two. Select that, SX 2.5, and then these, SX and 2.5. So now we've made some little extrusions there. I'm just going to now show what it's like when we add our subdivision modifier, which is going to be the key to making this whole thing work. So coming over to modifiers and back into object mode, I'm going to select subdivision surface. And let's just have 3 on the viewport and the render. So it's a little bit sort of bulbous and not very attractive, but I'm actually going to do some more work before I fix that. So let's tab back into edit mode. I want to create some little extrusions along this bottom edge here. So let's switch out of X-ray mode, Alt-Z. I'm going to select this one here, shift select that one, shift select that one, and then I'm going to extrude them on Y. So E and Y and -0.1. And again, you see they're a little bit rounded, but we're going to fix that again later on. So I want to do the same thing along this top row here, but the actual top row is too wide. So I'm going to subdivide it using the loop cut. So loop cut that top row there, and back in faces mode, I'm going to select this face, shift selecting these, and that one there, and I'm to extrude those, E and 0.1. Let's now tidy this up, I think. So we can tidy it up using the loop cut tool. So let's switch into the loop cut tool. And now if I drag with the loop cut tool like that, I can go all the way if I want, but I think I'm just going to slightly back off all the way like this. Oh, we could probably do it by the numbers, but it's a little bit slower. Just doing it by eye, and it's going to be fine. Nobody's going to be out with a tape measure to judge us. And that's good. You can see now we've got a nice crisp edge, much better than that kind of rather nasty smooth effect that we had. So I want to actually make a little bit of a sort of extrusion here with these faces. So I'm going to take these faces here. Let's select that one and control select that one, and I'm going to extrude them. So E and 0.1. And then I think I'm going to switch into the inset faces tool and just sharpen it up like that. What else do I want to do at this point? Oh, I want to come over here and I want to make some vents in this set of faces here. So in faces mode, I'm going to select this face and this face, I think, there we go. And I'm going to extrude those. So E and -0.1. And that's created these sort of dimples, but there again, they're a little bit sort of squargy and unpleasant looking. So I'm going to select the loop cut tool. And then if you look, we get just in the corner here, we get that square around, and I can drag it to the right, and you see that really nicely sharpens it up, and we've got this really good sort of little vent in there. And this one here, it's a little bit fiddly to grab, but there you go, I've got that one. And now I'm going to do the one in the middle. It's a little bit tricky if you do them all at the same time. So I'm going to grab this face and again extrude it, E -0.1, and then again grab the loop cut tool and find that little inner face there and drag to the right. And now we've got those nice vents in there. Now, the only thing about this is that I want them to be more circular. So probably the easiest thing to do is to come to one like that and then switch into X-ray mode with edges selected, grab all of those and then just take our move tool and just move it over till those vents are kind of much more circular like that. Let's come out of X-ray mode again. I want to subdivide this face here and make some ribs. So let's select the loop cut tool, click on here. Let's see how many I want. I want 1, 2, 3, I want 6. There you go. So what I want to select this one here and this one here at the top. Select this one using shift and control select that. Shift select this one, control select that one, and then E and 0.1 to extrude them out and make those ribs like that. Let's actually now get a feeling for what this is going to be like when we mirror it. So let's add modifier and mirror. And you can see because we moved this whole section over to the left here, we're now mirroring about the center point. So we actually want a mirror on X, Y, and Z. So click all three of those. And now we've got the entire body of our spaceship. So pretty good, I think. I'm just going to turn off mirror for the time being because I actually now want to focus on making some windows. So before I make any windows, I actually want to give this some shading. So let's come over to shading. Let's do new, and over here, let's call this material body. And let's actually make another one here by clicking on the plus sign and then new. And let's call this windows because I want a separate material for the glowing windows. Okay, so let's select the body and just adjust it a little bit. Base color, just make it pretty dark gray. Let's have full metallic, not too specular. I did play with kind of clear coat, which is kind of interesting, but it's probably, you see, it gives us that kind of metallic sort of car body look. Probably not right for a spaceship, but you know, you might like it. Anyway, let's now actually think about these windows, because what I actually need to do is I need to give them their material before I can actually do that. So I'm going to select this face, this one, and then shift select this one and this one, shift select this and this, and this and this. And then selecting the Windows material, I can now click Assign. And now I've assigned that material to those faces. So with this Windows material, base color can be black, but what I actually want to do is I want to come down and give it an emission color. So open that up. We'll make it pretty bright, in fact, go all the way, but we want to give it a little bit of a warm cast like that. And let's give it an emission value of 5. And now, while we're just thinking about windows, let's do the ones on the front as well. So I think I shall have one here, and one here, and one here, and I think that's going to be good. So let's come down to Windows and Assign. So now we've got those materials set up, we can come back to make the windows. So let's come back to Layout, and let's just turn on the Material Preview view. So let's concentrate on these side ones first of all. So let's select these faces here, all of them, and we're going to extrude them. So E and -0.1. So I'm just going to switch to solid view, so that's going to make it a little bit easier. So what I want to do is I want to turn off subdivision, and I want to select these faces again, select all of those, and I want to inset them. So let's select the inset faces, just to inset them a tiny fraction there, it doesn't have to be too much. Then I'm going to come to this menu here, the transform orientations, and I want to select normal instead of global. And then I'm going to just turn back on subdivision mode. So we want to move them out along the direction of their normal, and that's the Z axis. So G, Z, and 0.1. And if we switch back into material mode, you can see we've now got our windows. They're nicely rounded and they're kind of inset, and it's kind of giving us a lot of production value for not very much effort. So let's do the same thing here with these windows. So we're going to select this one, and this one. You remember that our first step was to extrude them backwards. So E and -0.1. Then we want to select the Inset Faces tool and very slightly inset them like that. Then we're still in normal orientation and we want to move them out. So G and Z and 0.1, and I quite like that. I'd actually like to do some more pipes down the side here. So again, we can just subdivide here. And let's subdivide, I think, again, 6. That's going to give us enough, I think, to make some nice sort of venting in here. Just going to switch off subdivision temporarily because I want to grab quite a lot here. So faces mode, select this, control select that, shift select this, control select that, shift select this, control select that, and then E and 0.1 to extrude them, turn back on subdivision mode, and now we've got those nice ribs there to match those other ones in the middle. The only thing I'd like to do is looking at this here. Let's turn back on mirror mode. I don't entirely like the way these are crammed up against the ribs there. So let's turn back off mirror mode. 1 for this front view, come down here. And what I want to do is I want to turn on X-ray mode, come into edges, grab all of this here. So that's the whole vent scenario. But we need to come back into global and then just move this over till it's sort of nicely balanced up like that. And I think that's pretty good. So let's just switch back into object mode to check how we're doing and turn on mirror. And there's one thing I want you to notice, and that's we've got a hole here. And that's because we actually need to add one more loop cut where this is joining here. So let's just turn off mirror again, come back into edit mode, and we need a loop cut just here. So loop cut there, push it all the way to the end to sharpen that up. And let's go and look at our front, and the same issue applies. You see we've got a rounded edge there, and we don't want a rounded edge. So we're going to loop cut this one here, drag it all the way over to the left to sharpen it up. So what you'll need to do for this is actually render it in cycles, because we want these windows to actually be illuminating the geometry. So let's come over to the render tab and let's switch out of Eevee into cycles. I'm going to use GPU compute, and I'm going to switch these samples here to 16 and these maybe to 24, the render samples. It can be enough. And I'm going to switch to the rendered view here, just so we can get a feel for it. And if we zoom in, you can see how in cycles that emission is actually illuminating around the edges, and that's looking really nice. That really sells those windows, I think, when you can see that lighting there. So as you see, we're still a little bit steppy, and what we can do is we can select our model and we can right click and shade smooth, and that's just going to smooth everything off. And that's really pretty much it. What I did was I rendered it out with transparency, and then I composited it separately, because it's slightly easier to do it that way, I think. But there you go. We've taken a UV sphere and we've made something pretty fancy out of it without a great deal of effort. It's got lots of kind of fun details in it. I'm sure you can think of more to do. So thanks very much indeed for watching. See you again soon.